we're going to kick things off right now with kind of bouncing off what we talked about last time. We talked about confetti being canceled because things were not going that well. There wasn't many downloads. There wasn't many viewers in America. But after that news broke, we got this from HQ. There was an apparent mutiny to oust their CEO recently, and when that failed, things have just started to go really, really bad. And this is from TechCrunch. Downloads per month, down 92% versus last June. And this is from Sensor Tower. HQ has laid off staff members. One said about 20% was being let go, and another said 6 to 7 employees were departing. That makes HQ staff to fewer than 30, which is now 28 staffers. And this is coming up with their upcoming launch of monthly subscriptions, especially with HQ Words Every Day. This is getting really bad really fast, especially on that end.
Well, I think I'm not concerned about the subscription so much. When you talk about a competitor and a team like Kiwi Incorporated, which runs Joyride, that has been their model for games for the better part of a year and a half now. Not quite that, but close. Where you can buy keys and with keys you can not only rejoin a game, but if you have X number of keys or half that with the subscription, you can play games for more money. And Joyride is giving about as much money away as HQ. It's not as big pots because they spread it out over a bunch of different games and times and formats, but it's a successful model for them. I can't really hate that. Um, I think if anything, I think it's a solid plan, at least immediately for the short term for the players. The download thing, I think, is interesting, but it doesn't tell the full story. If players already have a given concept, wouldn't you expect by nature for them to have, maybe not to this extent, but certainly to a certain degree, I don't know what that would be precisely, but if enough players have a certain game that fulfills such a niche, because trivia is one of the genres that the Google Play and the App Store go by, is there really a market anymore for them? Because people have already downloaded it. There's that effect. And to me, I think that caps how many people you can have as an overall percentage. I'm just wondering of people that are available to get such a game, that people are available that are interested in as much. Well, just in general, trivia, because trivia is not as big as niche as you would think it would be, especially within the circles of who listens to something like this. I think they're okay in these respects. Trunk House, the high-end staffers, that's been kind of an issue since day one, and I think that's kind of an appeal to some people. You look at, to contrast, we mentioned Confetti a little bit earlier, where it's succeeding like Mexico, where they do 2 shows a day. They did $100,000 game the other day there, in US dollars, not pesos. Twice a day, huge pots. It's over $1 million a show, both times. But these countries didn't have an HQ. It's stable leadership, it's respectful leadership, and it's professional productions. Because let's be honest, HQ might have had the guys behind Vine behind it, with Kral and Yusupov, but these guys have had issues before. I know, I realize one of them is dead now, but I'm talking about the origins here. But we're talking about guys who shot out of a green screen studio, which was the predecessor. Confetti, by contrast, was in Southern California, was in front of an actual giant stage where they could have stunts, where they could have a DJ as they did originally.
Yep.
And that to me is the difference. The staffing thing, I was surprised to hear that it was cut down to under 30, which, I talk about other shows. I don't think other shows really have all that many. That seems like, I don't want to see anybody lose their job, certainly not. But I feel like that's a lot more staffers than you would expect for an operation of that size. Just in general.
Right, but you're also taking consideration that HQ Trivia runs multiple games at a time.
No, not really. I mean,
Not anymore.
no. So the schedule for HQ these days, you have the trivia at 9 Eastern. That's every night. You have HQ Sports, which is Monday and Wednesday at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific, and then you have Words currently Tuesday and Thursday at 9:30 Eastern. That's it. They really don't run that much anymore.
Right, and a lot of the staff is working 7 days a week. Sure, they're still cranking out all these questions that they have to research. I mean,
Yeah,
this.
most of the time. I've noticed a trend with them about because I mean I'm playing. I'll be honest, I play late in games quite a bit, but a lot of times their questions are very interestingly similar to one another. They really don't do as much research as they used to as it goes into questions. And again, that's not to disparage the writers. They have to do probably like 18 questions a day now, which is back in the day they used to do 24, so I guess it's about the same amount. But like a lot of them are the person who inspired this painting, song, whatever was also someone who wrote what, or like they'll ask like which of these has the most ownership of a like this is a real one, the largest territory in Antarctica and the smallest one. So they'll try to go with quite literally polar opposites in this case. But it's stuff that really isn't too hard to manage, surprisingly.
Hmm?
I think they do a very good job with making it difficult, perhaps a little bit too much so on the themes these days. I hate the theme nights these days because they're so niche on top of it all. Like I mean, I could deal with a regular theme night. I get that, but
And
I
part of this
it's just
demise. I'm sorry, go ahead.
yeah, it's kind of unfortunate to see that because what they're doing, and I got to give them credit in this respect, is that historically the theme nights and currently as well, the theme nights will get a few 100,000 more people that they would normally get on a given night. Because normally they get about a quarter of a million people to play question one if it's a standard trivia night. If it's a
Mhm.
theme night with a popular following, like let's say Disney or The Office, Harry Potter, then they might get almost double that. Almost. And they can go so niche with it because it's remarkable, really. But they'll go so niche with it that nobody can really be expected to answer what they're asking on a wide scale basis. I mean, it's doable. I've done it enough times. They did SpongeBob of all things the other day, which they asked like what SpongeBob's first words were for a sample question. You know what those are?
Um,
Not on the show, but what his first words were as a baby, and that's canonical. Yeah, 10 seconds. Do 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 do
uh,
do do do.
uh, Krabby Patty.
Nope. It's May I Take Your Order, which is a one specific line in the first ever episode. I mean, I'm Ready was a fake on top of that too, because again, this was like question 8.
Oh.
That's one of their simpler questions that they could ask for a theme. Um, I mean, I don't mind the difficulty. I maintain that good, difficult, noble trivia, like which of these countries does not border this, or what could these capital cities of countries does not border this country? That's doable. I can recall capitals in my sleep. I realize that's not everybody for sure, but it's like the elite players can certainly answer that. As much as HQ would like to not believe that elite players can answer questions, that's for sure. They've taken away $820 away from me last year, which is very unfortunate. And I knew this would be a story eventually, as it has been, with what's been going on, because they didn't award any of the $100,000 as of September 14th, 2019, to the 5 people who won $100,000 in a June jackpot game of 25 questions. Remarkable. That's what I don't understand about HQ either. This is what bothers me about them than anything else. They seem to think that good people at trivia are not winning it legitimately. And I'll be the first to say that there are loads of bots that play every single game. And
Yep.
that's unfortunate. It sucks. It does. But, some people are going to be that good. That's literally the definition of a normative distributed bell curve of intelligence, or just even if you apply that to maybe a parallel. It's obviously not direct, but a parallel of trivia.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, come on, guys. I didn't cheat. I will tell you what I did flat out. I did have somebody, and I was not artificially generated. I did have somebody because I had an Android. Initially, the Android phone could not do the swipe trick, and the swipe trick is where you would swipe up on the heart icon to your avatar to get a life once every week. Now it's a code you enter once every month. But back in the day, you swipe trick it for once a month. I mean, once a week. And I had someone do that for me because it's on Android. I can't do that. Why should the iOS players get the advantage? Um, so I'm like, okay, let's make this even and just someone use an iPhone just to keep it fair, right? And then September 9th last year, I get 15 bots out of absolutely nowhere. I have no idea why, spamming me lives. But I keep on winning. I keep crushing the game. I won a $385 game that only 65 people, and my money got wiped. There was no reason for it whatsoever. I mean, you could see me using someone else's phone for swiping as maybe a problem, but I never used a bot. I never did anything that would give me an advantage over any iPhone user ever. Um, and I'm so frustrated by that. That is still going on, obviously, with people waiting for their $20,000 who have not done anything wrong, and they just suspect these people are cheating. The worst thing about this, too, I think, is that you had somebody in that group of the five who had won the Rampage game, which was a $300,000 game last year for the movie Rampage with Dwayne The Rock Johnson. He won about $3,800 that game. Awesome. He also won about $2,500 a few weeks before this, and there were no issues. Awesome. He wins this $20,000, and he's won big too much. So, no, you don't get the money at all. My personal hypothesis is, and it's only that, is that you can only have so many big wins as defined by the game. Um, I maintain that I will go for the big money whenever possible because I don't have many big wins right now, and I want to make sure it stays clean like that because, that way they can't call me out on that prospective reason. It's unbelievable, though. There has been one app that's kind of like this. This is not unique to this app. The other one doesn't get as much flack nearly because it doesn't award the size prizes that this does. But the queue has had issues with this where it doesn't pay its winners. It locks them out because it says people are cheating when that's not the case. This is something that Mark Cuban of the Shark Tank invested his money into this. He's not a founder because I used to think that I got that wrong all the time, but he supported this mess. But why can't these people pay their money? I understand if you're hurting for money. I really do. But this is some shit. This is some rigging contest stuff. Like, you can't, if you're going to offer people money to know these questions, and they're not, I mean, the ones that were run on the 20,000 one was not that terrible, let's be honest. I mean, it basically asked which of these state flowers does not have the name. Oh, it was some adjective in it, but that's an incredibly easy question. Just to know that for $20,000, really? Like, I mean, you just have to. I mean, let's be honest. Googling is not cheating. I don't want to hear anybody say Googling is cheating because HQ endorsed it. But you can just Google state flower, whatever it is, and then just go from there. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, like I mean that's so simple. I mean they've adjusted to that. They have overcompensated for that. I'd even argue. Like tonight gave out less than $4,000. It was a movie musical theme tonight. It wasn't actually that terrible. But I mean, like let's look at some sample questions for tonight. For instance, I didn't think they were that bad, but some people might. So here we go. Let's look. Let's see. What's this one?
And I'd like to tell everybody that I don't play these app games. I don't have a phone or anything that will allow me to play these app games.
Yeah.
So, I'm hearing these questions for the first time. We'll answer a couple of these questions, and there's a little bit more to the story that I think is more interesting.
Yeah, there is, and it's like I mean, here was one that I think was very hard today. This is the one I went out on because I ran out of time by a second. I play these. I would say I play these as much as you can because I use the term pretty liberally here, but professionally, I would say I've made about $10,000 from playing essentially free apps. I do pay a little bit so I can get the most opportunities to play them and so forth, but I have beaten the companies pretty soundly like a poor pinata on their heads. So
Ouch.
anyway. Which of these was Lady Gaga wearing during her famous quote unquote no makeup screen test for A Star is Born? Sunscreen, lip balm, or brow gel?
Lip balm?
Yeah, yeah, that is it. That is it.
Wow.
But I mean that's that's just crazy, isn't it? So let's see. Here's okay.
So
So
the
here's one
one
that
you
wasn't
went
movie themed, but
so the one you went out on, I got right quick.
you got right quick. But I'm always really making sure about things. I never will tap an answer with like 8 seconds left. I will try to do it with like three or less. Just because you can verify things
Mm-hmm.
and you can make sure you can replay things in your own mind to make sure you have them right if you do know them. Because there was a question the other day that asked what Forrest Gump and his son were watching on the TV in the movie Forrest Gump.
That's me straight.
Jesus, yes, yeah. I knew it was Bert and Ernie because they put it as Bert and Ernie, but like I remembered the scene very well. But yeah, yeah, very good. Here are some questions about what here's some good examples of standard second half because it's of 30 questions now, up from 25 of what they'd ask. Which country's capital city is closest to the equator? Kenya, Rwanda, or Uganda?
Rwanda.
No, this one's Uganda. It is actually, and I knew obviously Quito of Ecuador is the closest, but Uganda is it's at 1 degree south. If you know that, that does help.
Yeah.
All right, so here's one that I think this is probably the hardest one in the game. The last film nominated for every Oscar it was eligible for derives its name from what? Hansel and Gretel, Little Red Riding Hood, The Three Pigs.
The Three Pigs.
I gotta say, your hit rate is very good. That I am impressed.
And The
I am
Three
very
Pigs,
impressed.
I think I'm trying to remember the movie.
Yeah, I actually don't know what movie this was because I actually didn't hear it. But if you know, say in the comments below. I would love to hear it and what ones it was nominated for because was it like a 1 out of 1? Like, please let me know.
Mm. All right, but to continue on with the story, a lot of the blame is being put on Rus Yusupov, mainly because after his co-partner died, Yusupov didn't know how to manage it because there was a petition to remove him. He caught wind of it and fired two of the leaders of the movement. HQ's board decided to bring in a new CEO. They're still trying to find a new CEO. And now Yusupov is just he's kind of phoned it in, so to speak. Because he's not doing anything. Everything's just become, according to TechCrunch, has become more stagnant.
Yeah, I mean there was supposed to be a show with I forget what it was called, but there was supposed to be a show that basically focused Sharon Carpenter on like HQ Buzz it was supposed to be called. It was supposed to be about celebrities and so forth. There were 8 different proposed HQ shows that got leaked around the beginning of the year, and absolutely none of them have come to fruition. That's kind of unfortunate.
Mm-hmm. And I think what's happening is, we talked about this last time, that the bubble might be bursting, and the ones that aren't self-solvent right now are going to go away.
Yeah, what's
If
self-solving right now? Joyride and SB Live for Swagbucks game right now. I think those are the primary ones that come to mind.
Yeah, I think those are the only two right now.
You know, like the other ones are trying to expand their reach, like you talk about what Telly or what was formerly called Ripcord is trying to do. Reward the Fan has its own infrastructure. Incredible has the backing of Publishers Clearinghouse, but that's kind of broken right now. Same cheating guy keeps winning. Um, and it's a winner take all too. So one big cheater does really shift that. Spotus might be sustainable because it barely gives out any money per game in totality. But
And
I'm
I
just wondering why these haven't been proposed for TV more than they have, because I remember we heard that about HQ about a year ago about, hey, they might move it to TV to try to get more eyes on what's a declining medium in television as a whole. So they did the Apple Connect, and then they kind of abandoned really the updates for that. I mean, what a mess. Come on,
and the
guys. If you're
Apple
going to
Connect
innovate,
is going to
innovate
go
on.
away.
You know,
It's just a matter of they expanded too fast, in my opinion.
well, they weren't prepared for it either, honestly. I I think beyond their own control. They didn't know what was going to happen if they had a successful product. Because when you start banning legitimate players, the people that are probably going to be the backbone of your community, that's not really good for word of mouth communication, which you have to have these days with younger demographics.
And especially when you make an entire community mad, and they've done it with two communities. You made the trivia players mad because some of them aren't, especially the big players like Alex Jacob and 8Minky, aren't getting paid.
Well, yeah, that's where I come in. I mean, that's my part. I'm part of that group, which is like, what the fuck, you guys? Come on, this is not hard.
And then what they're doing is they've made gamers angry because they haven't evolved. It's still the same thing that has been since the beginning. And
Well,
also,
I would not say that. I would not say that. I don't think that's accurate. I think they
well,
need to develop into different formats, but the deal or no deal thing is relatively new.
what I'm saying is the bot problem is still a gigantic issue.
The
What I'm
boss problem, there's something to that though. I think HQ doesn't want to admit this because if you took out all the bots in a given night, I don't think they would reach 50,000 players. I really don't. And you want to try to make it look like you're still by far the best in the business for getting people?
mm-hmm.
Those bots, they can just kick and they cannot pay them, so they can save money by not paying them, and they can artificially increase their numbers with them. There's no reason to remove those bots if I'm in HQ. Is it dirty? You bet. But do I do it? You bet. I think the big issue with a lot of people, I completely disagree with these people, but they're out there. People are saying that they don't like the format of the jackpot, that they want 12 or 15 questions, which is kind of silly, really, because you can ultimately still cash out after your 12 or your 15 if you like and be done with the game. And then the prizes were so small before this, it basically was no different. So I never understood people's issues with that. But that's a growing contingent that people are saying, "Oh, it's too hard now. Oh, it's too many questions." Again, I don't agree with them, but they're out there, and that's turning people off. And there are many tweets that say, "Unless you change your format, I will delete your app." Yikes! But I get why they do it. It saves the money, and yeah, I mean, it benefits the super players theoretically, at least.
Mm-hmm. Well, this is just the start of it with HQ. I'm pretty sure there's going to be more news stories that are going to come out. Maybe when they get a new CEO, they'll be able to right the ship. Because right now, Yusupov is not getting it done. And with the way he's doing things, according to these reports, HQ's morale is trash. Well,
Yeah,
hopefully,
it's been that way for a year at least, a long while.
but it's just, yeah, but has it gotten that? But it's probably gotten
Probably
worse.
worse, honestly. There are people that have been screaming at Scott when he was host. There have been female employees been being treated as subhuman, even when the app was in its heyday. Honestly, with the, it's like comparing like cancer to AIDS here, but I don't think it's really been. I don't think it's really anything that's changed in terms of the morality. It's still awful, but I think it's been as bad as it's ever been. I don't think that's really changed much.
And a lot of that has to do with the tech industry, but that's another topic for another day.